Unlocking that is the riddle. Emerson once wrote, "Trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string." To believe that what could be true for you could be true for everyone. He cautioned against self-doubt. And so there's a point at which we have to believe in our own capacity to change things. We have to believe that one person makes a difference, and that one person is you. Next question.
Yes. Fear results in irrational behavior and violence. And what would you recommend that we would do to eliminate the fear in our minds and the fear in the minds of those that would be our enemy?
Well, the Iraq War is a result of fear. No question about it. Now, Roosevelt, when he saw a nation falling apart economically, faced the Congress in 1933 and he said, what? "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." He understood the self-reflexive nature of fear. Fear of fear. When we feel fear, what happens? We get paralyzed. Every one of us has felt fear. Every one of us. It is a very human emotion. There's just no question about it. Dealing with fear is a real challenge. You know, there's all kinds of fears. You can be afraid of missing a flight, or afraid that something won't arrive in the mail in time, afraid of not passing a test, afraid that a loved one has problems with their health. There's all kinds of fears. There's millions of fears. Each one of us, there's some kind of fear going on. And yet, we realize that we cannot live by our fears. Because if we do, we bring to ourselves that which we fear the most. If we're afraid a relationship is falling apart, we sometimes behave in such a way as to cause it to fall apart. Fear has a predictive, self-fulfilling approach. The other side of fear is trust. Trust is the implicate order. Trust helps keep things together. Fear breaks things apart. That's on an individual, personal relationship. I'm not talking about anything I haven't experienced myself. I'm just sharing my experience with you. And so, when the fear becomes national, then you have the basis for war. Then you have the basis for persecution of people. You have the basis for mass murder, really. That's what fear can take us to a point where it licenses mass murder. That's actually what's happened in Iraq. I'll call it for what it is. Without judgment, with compassion, but it is mass murder. 1 million innocent people being killed. We have to, and because there's no rationale to it at all. But it's fear-based. The Congress approved it out of fear. When leaders are fearful, their fear becomes the destiny of a people. How do we deal with fear? Well, one other aspect that we need to explore, another part of trust, is courage. Every one of us knows what happens when we exercise the smallest bit of courage in our daily lives. We achieve breakthroughs. Courage is a path that it's an uplit path. It takes us to places that we never knew we could get to. How do we live today, sensibly and sanely, in this world which has so many different competing interests? We must live and aspire to live fearlessly, to aspire to live courageously, to demand that we have leaders who are courageous, to demand of ourselves that we be courageous is to also create those leaders who are courageous. We see that fear creates paralysis. Courage creates an expansiveness, a mobility. It allows us to move forward. So the secret is really within ourselves. It starts with us. If we're courageous people, we come together and challenge our government when we think it's gone on the wrong path. But if we're fearful, we're locked in. Condition orange. Today is orange. If you see anything in the airport that you don't expect to see there, please report it to the nearest authority. What's that about? Duct tape and plastic, protect your home. What's that about, okay? You know? We have another tape of Osama bin Laden. Tune in, news at 11. Weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. Iran has a nuclear weapons program. I mean, we're being played. We're being played. I mean, who wrote this script? It's a rotten script and a bad B movie, and it has to be changed, really. So, I remember growing up in, one of the neighborhoods in Cleveland we lived in. I used to, and then we'll go to the next question. There's some fellow was standing on a street corner, and he's just standing there. It looked like he was having a good time. He was clicking his fingers. I walked up to him. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm chasing the tigers away." I said to him, "I don't see any tigers. It's working." Next question. So this economic system that we face today, which is indeed a cruel system, where wealth is accelerating to the top at such a remarkable pace, putting, in a sense, to shame the era of the Gilded Age. People losing everything they've worked a lifetime for, just caught up in the maw of this huge economic machine, and therefore causing many people to feel a desire for a sense of revolt. You're just ready. But the truth of the matter is that each one of us has an understanding of how we can challenge the system. My path that I've chose is to go inside the system and challenge it from inside as an elected official. And I chose a career in politics 40 years ago. And this is a path that I've chosen. And it's led me to this point. But each person in this room who desires to find a path to making this world a better place holds the wisdom within your heart as to a path that you can take to do it. But unlocking that is the riddle.